Going to every camp in the AFC North has been an experience. Sure, there have been a lot of long drives and a lot of long nights, but in the end, it's been worth it because not only did I get to learn a lot about the teams, but I learned a lot about the different fan bases. The environment for every team is unique. In Cleveland, there is palpable excitement. 40,000 people showed up to watch what was a practice. In Baltimore, you can tell that they feel like they have a good young team that is being slept on. And in Pittsburgh, it's a completely different feeling than any other camp because it felt more like a college in the sense of how they develop young players. There is a 2 to 3 year plan for every rookie they draft, and they see the franchise as a football factory, and they're often more excited about a young guy they drafted 2 years ago that is on some specific plan than a big name, and you walk away from that very impressed. And the Bengals, well, they're a different story. Seriously, though, it was very insightful to do this, and I would encourage fans of other teams to do this instead of engaging in the anger and the vitriol in the comment sections that can sometimes take over how we feel about opposing teams. In a world that divides us enough, for a football fan, this is a good time of the year to get to know each other and meet each other and learn more about each other than yelling about Lamar Jackson or Baker Mayfield or Juju. But unity aside, what you want to know is after this experience, how does the AFC North stack up? So let's break this down team by team, and at the end, I will give a win-loss prediction for every team. So let's start with the first team that I saw, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Baltimore Ravens are a tricky team to get a hold of. Last year, they had a top-tier defense, but they also let a lot of key defensive pieces going while also bringing in some other pieces. Now, in my quick thoughts video, I mentioned that they do have one of the best secondaries in the NFL, and I stand by that 100%. My question is, if this defense is without Zadarius Smith and Terrell Suggs and CJ Mosley, who is going to step up and be able to create pressure? And how much does that hurt their secondary? Right now, I don't see any immediate solutions to that, and I think that this team may struggle to create consistent pressure, which may hurt them at the back end. And because of how good the wide receivers are in this division, if you give a Juju Smith-Schuster or AJ Green or Odell a few extra seconds with a lack of pass rush to get open, they will get open against anybody. And if this team does have somebody like Matthew Judon step up and become an anchor to this defensive pass rush, then this defense will again be one of the best in the NFL like it was last year. But right now, I don't see any real solutions at pass rusher. On the other side of the ball, we have the curious case of Lamar Jackson. Is he going to be a better passer? Now, I've heard and seen some conflicting things about the state of Lamar as a passer. There are some articles that make it seem as if he woke up with Tom Brady's arm, and there are some articles that call him a read option quarterback. And like most things, the truth is in the middle. Has Lamar become a better passer? Yes, he has done more. He looks a lot more natural in his mechanics. He does and always has thrown a pretty nice ball. He is going to be a serviceable passer, but is he as good as some of the hyperbole in these articles? No, he's still inconsistent. He still has trouble with accuracies and ball placement, specifically on passes he has to throw on the opposite sideline of the hash he's lined up on. I counted in the 2 practices that I was at, 7 times out of 9, he underthrew a ball in 11-on-11s or 7-on-7s in that specific situation. This is frankly where he's just going to struggle because in the red zone situations where this team has struggled in the past, that is where his inability to throw the ball as accurate as you would like is going to become a problem. So the narrative about Lamar is going to be hard to follow because there's just going to be extremes on both sides of it. What I feel like the truth is that Lamar is going to be a good quarterback. He's going to have a lot of highlights. He is a serviceable NFL passer that has limitations. A guy like Hollywood Brown is probably going to be limited to being on the short side of the field, and there will be chunks of the field where Lamar is just not able to make enough plays as a passer. I worry about this team in the area of the field from about the 10-yard line to the 40-yard line in scoring territory. If they get caught there a lot, then they will have a hard time scoring. Lamar and his wide receivers' skill sets just don't project to work well in that area of the field. And as teams will be able to better zero down on the weaknesses of Lamar's passing game as the season goes on and as the field gets shorter, it makes me worry about the Ravens' ability to score. Also, draft Justin Tuck to your fantasy team because if they're going to be stuck in that field a lot, he's probably going to score a lot. But that being said, this is still a very good team. What they lack at receiver, they have at tight end and running back. Earl Thomas looks like Earl Thomas. Lamar is a good enough passer to hurt a lot of teams with this rare skill set, and they are still as solid as ever on that offensive line and interior defensive line. If I could describe this team in one word, it'd be, you guessed it, solid. What this team has lost in star power, they make up with depth. When people say that Pittsburgh is a factory, it is not something that people are just saying. It is kind of a mentality, and watching them practice, it has come through clear. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not a better team than what they started out last year with, but it is a more stable, drama-free roster. Juju looks like a clear number one. That front seven looks better than what they had last year. And in every other position, they are very solid. I would be surprised if this team dipped more than one game under 500. And I think that they will compete, as they always do, for a playoff spot. My one question with the Steelers has less to do about this year, but more to do with the future. What is the future after Ben? Because Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs are not the solution. And I don't see this team being able to find a solution in the future with a draft pick because they're not going to be bad enough to do that. If I were a Steeler fan, I would want them to figure that out because it's not hard to find yourself in quarterback hell. The Bengals, quite frankly, have issues that are far deeper than just their roster because their roster isn't half bad. AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, and Andy Dalton form a very formidable offense on paper. But this team starts to fall apart when you look at its holes. One, offensive line, not good at all. And then when you look at this defense that hasn't changed very much from a defense that was one of the worst in the NFL last year. Now, I understand. It's easy to forget that this Bengals team did not start off last year as a joke. They just ended as a joke. This roster, when it was healthy, was winning games last year. But they imploded due to injuries and horrid play on the offensive line and on the defense. They have changed nothing there. So I understand why some Bengal fans are bullish on this team and hope to upset a lot of people. But I really don't think that's happening because no matter what the excuses are, this is a team that finished in last place and has not done a single thing to inch themselves ahead of any team in this division. And when you watch this team in practice compared to every other team, it shows. The talent level, much less than all three teams. The intensity and the focus of the practice was significantly less. And even from a facility standpoint, they are so behind. And when you take a look at how bad this practice facility is and how many corners this owner cuts, it's no wonder that this team year after year is plagued by the injury bug. And look, this is not an insult to Cincinnati Bengals fans or the people of Cincinnati. This is a shot at the owners of the team because quite frankly, you deserve better. And right now, your NFL team is below NFL standard. It is everything except for the roster and fan support. It is really an embarrassment in my opinion. And I doubt this frugalness does not stop at the fan level. I guarantee you major corners are cut with the medical staff, with the training staff, and the coaching staff. Bengals fans, your owner is not putting you on a level playing field. And while Marvin Lewis was able to overcome this with how much experience he had with dealing with these hurdles, I don't believe that Zach Taylor in his first year is going to be prepared enough to deal with the things that somebody who coaches the Bengals has to deal with. They lose practice time because it rains and they don't own an indoor practice facility, which means the Bengals, if it rains, has to ask the University of Cincinnati or some high school to loan out their indoor field if they aren't using it. And that is embarrassing, and that is why this team will not go far this year because there are way too many obstacles in the way of this first-year head coach to win with. Now, the Browns are one of the most talked about teams in the NFL, and while a lot of the conversation nationally has been this tired and lazy take of, can these personalities work together? How will they handle adversity? Take that I am quite frankly sick of hearing. The personalities aren't a concern with me or anybody on the team. What is a concern is the depth at offensive line. Right now, the Browns have 4 starters and 2 you're actually confident in. J.C. Tretter and Joe Bitonio, if healthy, should be fine. With Hubbard and Robertson, you hope they can continue their improved play from the end of last year. And then at right guard, you have a huge question mark because it's a 3-man competition between Eric Kush, your average starting level guard, Kyle Kalis, who was on the practice squad last year, and your second round first pick of the second round, Austin Corbett, who should have separated himself by now. But everywhere else on this offense, you have a lot, and I mean a ton of really good players like Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, Baker Mayfield, and Nick Chubb, all who, if they were on separate teams, would probably be the focus of an opposing team's game plan. If this offensive line can give room and time to throw for Baker Mayfield, then this offense will be, say it with me, dangerous. On the other side of the ball, it's a similar situation. This defense' biggest concern is, will they be better tacklers? Will they let tight ends kill them? And can Vernon and Ward stay healthy? If Vernon and Ward can stay healthy, then they will have a team that can not only rush the quarterback and defend wide receivers at an elite level, but also would be able to stop the run, which was the downfall of this defense last season. But at linebacker, I have a concern that Christian Kirksey may not be able to be a great fit for this defense. He has struggled in pass coverage in the past. He is struggling right now. And the guy they have next to him, Schobert, I don't worry about as much in that way because he is a pretty good pass coverage linebacker. His problem was more with tackles. On this team after the front 4, that's the issue because outside of Demarius Randall, this secondary is not filled with proven tacklers. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on that front 4 for not letting runners slip past because that can potentially turn into 20-yard gashes. Now, Myles Garrett could get 20 sacks and win Defensive Player of the Year. The Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams could become a Legion of Boom-like tandem. There is a lot of potential on this team and on this defense and offense, obviously, for Cleveland. This division is going to be a 3-team race, headlined by 3 teams that will play solid and well-rounded football. While Baltimore and Pittsburgh's rosters are more proven than Cleveland, Cleveland has an abundance of firepower that if everything clicks and all signs so far look pointed in that direction, then it will put them over the top of Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So I think the Browns are going to go 11-5. Baltimore is going to finish in second place and the wild card with 10-6. Pittsburgh is going to finish 9-7, and Cincinnati is going to finish 4-12. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comment section down below and let me know what your predictions are for the AFC North. But after going to every single training camp in this division, that is what I came out with. I do believe Cleveland is the best team in this division, but I don't think they're that far ahead of Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And I could easily see a scenario where Pittsburgh or Baltimore do steal the division from the Browns. But that's just my opinion, and thank you guys for watching. And if you really like this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload. And if you have a buck or two to spare, please consider joining the Patreon. And if you want to support the show and look really cool, get some merch. It's down below on the video. You can see the Teespring stuff if you're on the computer. If you want to, the link is in the description. If you're not on the computer, check it out. The merch is pretty cool. I made sure the prices were lower, $20 for a t-shirt. I feel like that's reasonable. But please check it out. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day and have a good night.